Time is 5 o'clock. Good evening. Here is the world news at 5. First, the top stories. Ogun Assembly approves 181.3 million naira annual pay for 20 councils, 37 LCDA chairmen. PDP factions renews conflict less than a week after ceasefire deal. Maisari says bailout fund Paris loan refund safe states from collapse. Death toll from meningitis epidemic hits 21 in Sokoto State. On the foreign scene, East African leaders agree to assist in sending Somali refugees back home, and Yemeni stage massive protests call for end to civil war. I am Femi Osinuga, bringing you the news in detail shortly. Each of the elected chairmen of the state's 20 local government and 37 local council development areas is to collect salaries and allowances totaling 3,181,614 naira yearly. The emolument is contained in the Ogun State Amendment Local Government and Local Council Development Area Emolument Bill 2017, approved by the State House of Assembly last February 21. The annual emolument package of each of the chairmen include basic salary of 1,026,327 naira, personal assistant allowance 256,581 naira, domestic allowance 769,745 naira 43 kobo, entertainment allowance 461,847 naira and 26 kobo, utility allowance 307,898 naira and 17 kobo, security allowance supplement of 20,000 naira, leave allowance 102,632 naira and 72 kobo, and wardrobe allowance 256,581 naira and 81 kobo. Each of the vice chairmen is entitled to basic salary of 904,320 naira, personal assistant allowance 226,080 naira, domestic allowance 78,240 naira, entertainment allowance 406,944 naira, utility allowance 271,296 naira, security supplement of 20,000 naira, leave allowance 90,432 naira, and wardrobe allowance 226,080 naira. Secretaries to the council will each be paid basic salary of 684,395 naira and domestic allowance of 513,296 naira and other allowances. For the elected councillors, each will collect basic salary of 669,105 and domestic allowance of 501,828 naira amongst other benefits. Each of the supervisory councillors will collect basic salary of 557,427 naira and domestic allowance of 418,070 naira amongst other allowances. For the leaders of the legislative councils, each of them will be paid basic salary of 720,886 naira and domestic allowance of 540,664 naira. Shopping malls constructed by the Ogun State government in Abeokuta will be formally commissioned on Thursday, March 30th. The malls containing hundreds of shops are located at Shakon, Itoku, Omida Market and Isale Egbeyin Spare Part Market. Governor Ibikule Amosu announced the date while addressing traders, most of whose stalls and shops were demolished for the construction of the malls and expressway that pass through the areas in the markets. The governor, who went round the markets on Saturday to explain the modality for allocating shops in the mall, says the first group of traders that shops and stalls will be allocated to are traders whose shops and stalls were demolished for the project. He attributes the delay in allocating shops in the shopping malls to the decision of the state government to ensure all categories of traders are accommodated in the allocation of shops and stalls. The government, according to Amosu, constructed additional shops and stalls because it is mindful that the shops and stalls in the shopping malls will not go round, and that some of the traders might not be able to afford rent payable in the malls. He promised that more shopping malls will be constructed to accommodate traders left out in the allocation of shops and stalls this week. Few days after signing a deal to cease fire, Sheriff and Makrafi PDP faction have renewed their battle for the control of the party. Last Thursday, the PDP Reconciliation Committee, led by Governor Siriake Dixon, had brokered the deal in which both factions agreed to stop making disparaging remarks against each other. The battle was renewed on Sunday, with Sheriff faction threatening to sue anyone, including the mass media, who referred to the Makrafi Caretaker Committee as a faction of PDP. Deputy Chairman of PDP, Dr. Cairo Ojobo, in a statement says by the verdict of the appeal court, Ali Modu Sheriff is now the authentic PDP and that Makrafi faction is dead. Ojobo also announced decision to fill the vacant position at the PDP National Secretariat since the existing staff had abandoned duty posts. But Makrafi PDP spokesman Dayo Adeyeye asked all PDP staff to ignore the vacancy announcement while accusing Sheriff faction of suffering from deficit of integrity. The faction, which is challenging the appeal court's verdict at the Supreme Court, says it is now clear that no agreement or political solution could be reached with the Sheriff faction. Governor Aminu Maisari of Katsina State says that the bailout fund and the Paris-London loans refund have saved several of the state governments from collapsing after the 2015 polls. The governor, speaking at a media summit in Abuja, asked state governors to show gratitude to President Muhammadu Buhari for the intervention. He says that Buhari's intervention has enabled state governors to pay salaries and pensions. According to the governor, any state government that is still having problems with the payment of salaries and pensions should blame itself. Several people have been killed in a fresh attack by gunmen on a village in Benue State. The attack on Shesha village in Madrastev Vod Nekasa is believed to be a reprisal attack against last Tuesday's attack by gunmen on a market in Zaki Biam, in which scores of people were killed and injured. Spokesman of the State Police Command Moses Yamiu confirmed the attack, which he says might be a retaliatory attack. He puts the number of people killed by the gunmen at 3. Already, force headquarters are deployed police tactical force to rid the state of killer gunmen, following a directive from President Muhammadu Buhari. The death toll from meningitis epidemic in Sokoto State has risen to 21. The deaths were recorded in Kebe, Bodinga, Raba, Wamako, Gada, Dange Shuni, and Tureta local government areas of the state. Health Commissioner Dr. Balarabe Kakala, who gave an update on the meningitis epidemic declared last March 20, says that 14 of those who died were in the Gada local government area. Kakala explains that 15 medical teams, including 150 doctors and other health workers, have been deployed to the affected areas and treated over 330 cases. You are still listening to the World News at 5 on Rock City 101.9 FM. Up next, we bring you foreign, business, and sport news. Do stay with us. On the foreign scene, the leaders of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development Regional Grouping has agreed to facilitate the voluntary return of refugees and address the political and security situation in Somalia. 8 leaders from Eastern Africa met in Nairobi to discuss the situation of Somali refugees in the region, 2 months before the planned Dadaab refugee camp closure by Kenya government. The heads of the nation said that voluntary repatriation is not the only option and have urged other countries to share responsibility through settling some of the refugees in third countries. Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta insists the refugee camp in the northeast part of this country is no longer just a sanctuary for refugees but a base for criminal and terror activities too. Close to 1 million Somalis are refugees in neighboring countries. Kenya hosts a third of those, and Ethiopia is home to 250,000 of Somalis. Tens of thousands of people took the streets of Yemen's capital to call for an end to war in the country. The demonstration was organized by Houthi rebels who occupied the city and much of Yemen's north. The rallies in Sana'a came on the second anniversary of the Saudi-led military intervention against the Houthi rebel movement. More than 7,600 people have been killed in the conflict since it began in March 2015. The war is being waged between forces loyal to President Abdurrabbo Mansour Hadi and those allied to the Houthis. In business, federal government is to boost food production in Ogun State through Fadama 3 additional financing program. Under the Fadama program, farmers will be supported in cultivating of 8,000 hectares of cassava and 2,000 hectares of rice farms in the state. The state program coordinator, Femi Akinshola, who made this known in Abeokuta while distributing funds to the beneficiaries of the program, says 10,000 direct beneficiaries and 40,000 indirect beneficiaries are targeted. According to the coordinator, 70 kilometers of rural roads and 2 processing centers for rice and cassava will be constructed in the state this year. Finally, sport news. Youthful Chelsea FC and England under-20 defender Ola Aina and attacking midfielder Josh Maja, Sutherland and Ebere Eze, Queen Park Rangers, at the weekend trained with the Super Eagles as they prepare to change their allegiance from England to Nigeria. They were invited to join the Nigerian squad for a training match today for assessment by the technical crew. Although the match has been called off following Burkina Faso's inability to get some of their players to England, the Nigeria Football Federation (NFF) says it is working on ensuring the players become eligible to play for the Eagles in the African Nations Cup and Russia 2018 World Cup qualifiers. Nigeria hosts South Africa in the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier in June. That was the world news at 5, and just before we go, the major stories once again. Ogun Assembly approves 181.3 million naira annual pay for 20 councils, 37 LCDA chairmen. PDP factions renews conflict less than a week after ceasefire deal. Maisari says bailout fund Paris loan refund saves states from collapse. Death toll from meningitis epidemic hits 21 in Sokoto state. On the foreign scene, we told you that East African leaders agreed to assist in sending Somali refugees back home, and Yemeni staged massive protests call for end to civil war. For more stories and to listen to us live, please log on to our website www.rockcityfmradio.com/live. Thank you for listening. I am Femi Osinuga.